Ever wondered if prayer could actually change the outcome of a war or flip defeat into victory? Most people grow up hearing stories about soldiers who fought to the last breath, brilliant generals who outsmarted their enemies, or kings who rallied their armies one last time. But what you rarely hear is how prayer, sometimes desperate, sometimes quiet, sometimes fiercely confident, becomes the weapon that history's legends reach for when everything else fails. Here's the truth that nobody wants you to hear. The greatest upsets in world history are often carried by ordinary people whispering words, kneeling in silence, or begging for help from heaven in the middle of chaos. Prayer seems invisible. It isn't loud, and you can't measure it like ammo or armor or strategy. But when power runs out, courage fades, and hope is on its last legs, prayer is the one force left standing. And sometimes that's all it takes to change everything. Let's get real. Most people treat prayer as a last resort. Maybe for comfort, maybe because there's nothing left they can do. You'll hear "let's pray" tossed around when disaster hits, but deep down, almost everyone thinks action wins battles, not belief. But go back through the history books and you'll find prayer at the center of story after story where the odds were impossible, and still, hope survived and victory happened. Let's start big. The Battle of Lepanto, 1571. Christian Europe is trembling. The Ottoman Navy, the most feared fleet in the world, is about to crush the last defenders in the West. Outnumbered, outgunned, everyone expects the Ottomans to win. Pope Pius V knows there's one shot. They need more than swords, spears, and ships. He calls every Catholic across Europe to pray the rosary. The command spreads from palaces to poor homes. While soldiers sharpen swords, thousands kneel in churches, spinning beads and asking for the impossible. October 7th arrives. The wind that's helped the invading navy all week suddenly switches. Confusion sweeps through Turkish ranks. Christian ships surge forward and defeat the enemy against every prediction and every expert. Survivors start calling it supernatural. History marks the day as a turning point. The rosary, a prayer, is dubbed the secret weapon. From then on, October 7th is the celebration of Our Lady of Victory, the Feast of the Holy Rosary. Next stop, Dunkirk, 1940, World War II. The British Expeditionary Force and Allied soldiers are backed against the sea. Nazi tanks are closing in fast. Nearly 400,000 men could be wiped out or captured. Winston Churchill tells the British to pray. Churches fill up. Families, strangers. Nobody knows if it will work, but they beg for help. What happens next still stuns military historians. Bad weather grounds the German Luftwaffe. The sea turns eerily calm. A storm rolls in, making it impossible for Germans to attack. Private boats, fishing trawlers, lifeboats, hundreds of tiny vessels rush across the channel. Instead of losing almost the entire force, more than 338,000 men get rescued. Even non-believers call it the miracle of Dunkirk. All because when defeat was seconds away, prayer became the strongest weapon in reach. Looking for a story that's even more dramatic? Travel to Fatima, Portugal, 1917. 3 young children claim they see the Virgin Mary. Skeptics laugh. The government threatens, people doubt. But the kids keep insisting a miracle is coming and everyone should pray. On October 13th, more than 70,000 people gather in muddy fields, pouring rain coming down. Hopelessness everywhere. Suddenly, the rain ends. The sun appears to dance, twist, throw out color, drying the mud instantly. Even the local newspaper, run by atheists, prints the story, the miracle of the sun. For generations, people see this day as proof prayer opens possibilities that logic says can't happen. You might be thinking these are just flukes, unexplained anomalies. But let's look at one of the biggest underdog stories ever. St. Joan of Arc, France. 1429. The 100 Years' War has gone on forever. The French have lost almost everything. There's no hope. Then comes Joan, a teenage peasant girl with no army experience, no money, no noble blood, just faith and prayer. Joan starts having visions, insists that God is calling her to save France. The king doesn't want to listen. Generals laugh her out of the room. But Joan doesn't stop praying and telling everyone that God will deliver France. She dresses in armor, joins the fight, and leads French troops to victory. Siege after siege is broken. French forces believe. And even after Joan is betrayed, killed, and humiliated, the spark she lit turns the war around. Prayer was her battle plan, and faith inspired her army more than any weapon ever could. Faith shaped the battlefield in Vienna, 1683. Ottoman armies close in, surrounding the city. Europe behind Vienna is terrified. The Holy Roman Empire is tired, divided, and the only hope is Polish King Jan Sobieski, who leads a tiny force compared to the attackers. The city turns to prayer rosaries clutched in candlelit masses, prayers sent up for rescue. The enemy, overconfident, makes tactical blunders. Sobieski sees his chance, bravely attacks, and Vienna is saved. Not just strategy, spiritual courage brought the critical moment. Jump now to 1945 Hiroshima. Atomic bomb drops, wipes out almost everything. In the apocalypse, 8 Jesuit priests survive right at ground zero, unharmed. Doctors are baffled. Scientists can't explain it. The house itself is barely touched. The priests say nothing, but we prayed the rosary. Even today, their survival stands as one of the strangest cases in nuclear history. It's not always about the battlefield. Sometimes it's about fighting for faith itself. Mexico, Cristero War, 1920s. Catholics are persecuted, faith outlawed, priests hunted. Families gather in secret, praying for deliverance. Time and time again, prayers spark courage. The movement outlasts the regime, and the right to worship returns. The message is always clear: you can outlaw faith, but you can't stop prayer. Why does this matter? Because prayer isn't just about asking for a miracle. It's the thing that grounds people when everything is falling apart. It joins the weak and the strong, makes sense out of chaos, keeps hope alive when sense says, quit. Prayer is free, always available, and nothing, not money, not power, not fear can take it away. Zoom out and you'll see prayer at work outside big events. Kids praying before terrifying exams. Parents whispering prayers for sick children. Communities panicking after disaster, gathering to plead for help, for answers, and for courage. Prayer happens quietly in hospital rooms, kitchens, church basements, even on crowded city buses. Most of it stays invisible, but ask anyone who's lived through deep struggle, and they'll tell you that prayer pulled them through. Let's break down exactly why prayer works when nothing else will. Weapons run out, strategies flop, leaders fall. But prayer lives in the soul. It's not limited by weakness, by time, or by loss. In history's deadliest moments, prayer gives meaning to suffering, turns panic into peace, and unites enemies under a single hope. Anyone can pray, rich, poor, young, old, desperate, or bored, and the act itself creates connection. People join in churches, on battlefield edges, in jail cells, in burnt villages. The common cry, God help, echoes through thousands of years. If you think prayer is just superstition, see what happens when it's all that's left. St. Francis of Assisi gave up everything and started with prayer, turning hatred to peace in rival cities. Families torched by war learned forgiveness, built new communities. Prayer isn't magic, it's the tunnel through darkness that helps people find the exit. But here's the twist: prayer doesn't always win every battle the way we expect. Sometimes defeat still comes, but prayer changes the story. Those who lose find hope to rebuild. Sometimes in total disaster, the miracle is surviving at all. History is packed with stories where victory isn't smashing enemies, but standing strong and finding meaning after loss. Let's look at the climax of this whole story. Prayer flips defeat, but sometimes it flips defeat by giving people strength to face the worst, to help each other, and to dream about a new future nobody believed possible. When armies retreat, prayer turns grieving mothers into builders. When nations collapse, prayer helps scattered communities form new countries, new laws, new faith. Miracles happen not because prayer changes reality like a magic trick, but because it changes people, and people change reality. Prayer pulls together courage, strength, focus, and hope. Most of all, prayer refuses to quit. It's the last weapon when all else fails. What can you take from all this? If your back is against the wall, don't buy the lie that it's over. Prayer is the weapon every legend has used. When you're surrounded by fear, when every plan goes wrong, take the next step. Whisper a prayer. Ask for the impossible. Cling to faith. Even if you don't win immediately, you'll find strength you didn't know you had. That strength has pulled nations through war, families through disaster, and ordinary people through the hardest battles. Today, the world is full of noise news about defeat, chaos, fighting, and loss. But history shows that the real battles might be invisible, fought with prayer when no one else is watching. If you look for stories about faith-flipping battle outcomes, don't just look in books, look at what people share late at night. What grandmothers tell their families? What teachers share about hope when schools close? What nurses whisper when patients cry? That's how prayer became a weapon in legendary defeats. Not just because a king ordered it or a pope announced it, but because when everything else stopped working, people believed anyway. So next time you feel lost, remember, prayer has flipped some of the world's worst defeats into stories of hope, survival, and unexplainable victory. Subscribe for more stories where prayer flips defeat into history's greatest lasting victories.